Severe winds hit the San Fernando Valley this week. Fans rushed to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter after its opening at Universal Studios Hollywood. Kobe Bryant leads the Lakers to a spectacular victory on the last game of his NBA career.
This is Valley View News.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Mariah Robinson.
And I'm Jarvis Heron.
Donald Trump has won the New York Republican presidential primary.
It's really nice to win the delegates with the votes. You know, it's really nice. Thank you, New York. We love New York. We love New York. Thank you very much, everybody.
Hillary Clinton has won the New York Democratic presidential primary.
We've won in every region of the country. From the north to the south, to the east, to the west, but this one's personal.
A Cal State Northridge geology professor has released a study showing how multiple faults can cause a catastrophic earthquake. Here's Valley View News reporter Javier Cabrera with the story.
Seasoned geology professor Julian Loso says a rupture of the San Jacinto Fault could cause the San Andreas Fault to rupture too. He says that would cause a massive earthquake in the Inland Empire, including San Bernardino and surrounding communities. Loso's based his study on a rupture model as well as existing data and historical reports from a magnitude 7.5 earthquake that struck Southern California in 1812.
So what I'm showing is there's definitely a physics-based way to back up that interpretation that maybe the San Jacinto can provoke the San Andreas. It can transfer that energy onto the San Andreas.
Loso says earthquakes can't be predicted, but if it happened once, then it can happen again. And another earthquake like the one in 1812 can be more devastating today since the area surrounding the San Jacinto Fault is heavily populated.
The thing here is just that the San Jacinto brings the earthquake closer to more people, and also it's just more possible ways to have a large earthquake. It's not just the San Andreas to think about.
Just south of San Bernardino, the San Jacinto Fault line runs directly through this Colton neighborhood. Neighbors declined to comment on camera, but they were unaware of the fault in their neighborhood and the potential of a massive earthquake. San Bernardino has emergency plans in place to deal with a large earthquake.
In the hazard assessment matrix, earthquakes are listed as probability high and impact high, meaning that we view them as a potential to cause widespread damage, building damage, economic loss, and have an impact to our population, such as injury, death, and displacement.
Loso says the public should be aware that any fault is capable of a large earthquake, and people should be prepared. In San Bernardino, Javier Cabrera, Valley View News.
Cal State Northridge conducts annual training and preparedness classes for earthquakes. CSUN's emergency preparedness manager Jenny Novak says the university has an all-hazards emergency operations plan.
Within that all-hazards emergency plan, we do have hazard-specific chapters and checklists because although a lot of the same structures can be used to respond to different types of hazards in terms of like organization, there are certain considerations for, you know, a difference between like a hazmat release and an earthquake or a fire. So yes, we do have an earthquake kind of chapter and an earthquake checklist for the people that help in an emergency who are our emergency operations center responders.
Novak says students can participate in an earthquake-themed activity next Thursday to learn more about preparing for an earthquake.
Hundreds of doctors and rescue workers have responded to Ecuador's hardest-hit areas after last weekend's 7.8 magnitude earthquake. At least 272 people were killed and more than 2,500 were injured. The earthquake could be felt in parts of Colombia and Peru. Towns outside the capital of Puerto Viejo have sustained the most damage. Nearly 400 buildings were destroyed. Ecuador's president is urging people to show strength while government officials monitor events.
Aftershocks continued in Japan last weekend after 2 earthquakes killed at least 42 people. The quakes were measured at 6.2 and 7 magnitudes. Dozens of areas, mostly wooden homes, crumbled. Many residents have been experiencing aftershocks while sifting through their shattered homes looking for valuables. Scientists say the Japan and Ecuador earthquakes are 9,000 miles apart and are not related.
Southern California was battered by high winds last week. Although the winds have died down, extensive damage was left behind. Valley View News reporter Carla Gutierrez has more on the story.
This is the sound of the fierce winds that roared through Southern California last week as trees rocked from side to side. The National Weather Service reported north winds ranging from 15 to 35 miles per hour with gusts of around 45 miles per hour. The strong wind not only rattled windows and scared LA residents, it also brought down branches and knocked down trees. This large tree was ripped from its roots, causing it to fall over, hit a car, and block the northbound lane on Overland Avenue in Culver City. The street closure caused major traffic in an already congested area. Culver City police blocked off the street, while city workers cut the massive tree into pieces in order to clear it away and restore the regular flow of traffic. Thousands of LA residents were left without power, and busy streets were left without traffic lights. Venice and Overland is one of the many intersections affected by the power outage. Parking enforcement officers were called in to control and patrol this highly populated intersection. As the winds continue to blow through LA County, maintenance crews work diligently to clean the mess the powerful winds left. While the high winds left behind a trail of leaves and broken branches, the winds also brought the sun and warmer temperatures. In Culver City, I'm Carla Gutierrez, Valley View News.
A tornado in Uruguay has injured around 200 people and killed at least 4. The tornado swept through the city of 20,000. It ripped apart cars and houses. Difficulties with telephone and health services caused chaos. The city was declared an emergency zone.
Heavy rains and landslides have contaminated the water supply in the capital city of Chile. The heavy rains left 4 million civilians without any tap water. Officials say more than 300 people have been evacuated and 7 people remain missing. Operations at 2 of the world's largest copper mines have been suspended.
President Obama's plan to shield millions of undocumented immigrants from deportation was sharply questioned during arguments at the Supreme Court. The plan would allow immigrants to work in the country legally. The states challenging Obama's plan say this is another attempt to sidestep Congress. Obama says he took action after years of Republicans refusing to join Democrats in updating immigration laws. A tie vote, possible since the death of Justice Antonin Scalia, would be a defeat for Obama's plan.
Legislators in Brazil have voted to impeach Dilma Rousseff, the nation's first female president. The Senate will now vote whether to hold a trial. Rousseff could be charged for illegally using money from state-owned banks to cover budget gaps during Brazil's worst economic crisis in decades. Many of those accusing her are suspected of fraud and corruption themselves.
Thousands of oil workers in Kuwait began a strike last Sunday to protest against a government proposal to cut their wages. Kuwait wants to introduce a new payroll scheme for all public employees, including the country's 20,000 oil workers. This means there would be an automatic cut in wages and incentives. Kuwait Petroleum Corporation has offered to suspend all spending cuts if the union agrees to join a committee to negotiate a settlement. The conglomerate said workers boycotted negotiations.
When we come back, we will visit the magical world of Harry Potter.
And Beyoncé reveals a new project.
The plan to fully equip Los Angeles police officers with body cameras has been delayed. The initial plan came under criticism because of its $58 million price tag. Councilman Mitch Englander says he wants the LAPD to start over and accept new bids for camera manufacturers. The LAPD already has 860 cameras purchased through private donations. The department wants an additional 7,000 cameras by next year.
Ventura County's homeless population has dropped 10% since last year. The survey is required by the U.S. Housing and Urban Development Department in order to receive federal funding to assist with providing shelters and resources.
Amazon Prime is now offering monthly subscriptions options for its bundle of services. Amazon is also offering a separate monthly subscription for its TV and movie collection, Prime Video. Experts say the company is positioning Prime Video as a competitor to Netflix and Hulu. Amazon says its monthly subscription offer will appeal to new subscribers because it avoids an annual commitment. Amazon will sell the full Prime bundle for $10.99 a month in addition to its yearly package.
Universal Studios in Hollywood opened its new Harry Potter world, bringing in hundreds of fans. Valley View News reporter Alexis Liggins has the story.
3 weeks after the Wizarding World of Harry Potter's grand opening, fans of the fictional world are still in awe of its magical presence. Harry Potter banners and logos are all around Universal City Walk due to it becoming the #1 attraction in the park. Fans came dressed in character as they got to ride the rides and eat the food as if they were actually in Hogwarts. The attraction, which took over 5 years to complete, is an exact replica of Hogsmeade Village, featuring small touches such as these tilting chimneys and the owl in the attic. Jasmine Olston, who visited the park for the very first time, shares her experiences.
It was wonderful. There's a lot of rides and the people are really friendly.
But there's one part of the attraction that has the fans raving.
What was your favorite part?
Probably getting my wand.
The wand. It's so magical. Like we were there for the longest time, and then we walked out and we're like, what happened to all the magic?
Fans got to experience the magic of the wands and even perform some tricks like this one at different shops around the attraction.
The Wizarding World of Harry Potter is the first of its kind here at Universal Studios Hollywood, with the city of Los Angeles expecting an average of 1 million more visitors this year.
While fans traveled from local places like this,
Southern Orange County,
there are also superfans that traveled from
Presque Isle, up in Maine.
And even this young man who came from
China.
China, and did you enjoy your time?
Yeah.
One thing that the creators can rejoice about is the fans' reaction.
We went back after the park closed.
It was good. They did a good job. It was pretty big. I want to go back again, so that's actually motivating me to come back.
Reporting for Valley View News, I'm Alexis Liggins.
Now let's go to Alexis for news and entertainment.
Thanks, Mariah. Actor Johnny Depp and his wife Amber Heard have released a somber apology for failing to declare their 2 Yorkshire Terriers when entering Australia last year. In a video released by the Australian government, Heard and Depp state how sorry they are about Pistol and Boo not being declared. Heard pleaded guilty to knowingly producing a false or misleading document for her dogs when entering Australia. All charges for illegally importing her dogs were dismissed. Okay, CSUN, now let's get in formation. Beyoncé shared a surprised HBO teaser for what could be a new song and music video. Beyoncé posted a minute-long clip on Instagram, first sitting with blonde braids, running, and then catwalking through a parking lot. The Grammy Award-winning singer has given her fans unannounced music in the past, like her self-titled album, which was released in 2013. The Beyoncé album sold more than 5 million copies without promotion. The video titled Lemonade will premiere April 23rd on HBO. There is no word yet on what type of production the clip is from. Their baby girl is here. Chrissy Teigen and John Legend have welcomed their first child together. Teigen gave birth to Luna Simone Stevens on April 4th, weighing in at 6 pounds and 11 ounces. The couple was criticized in February when they announced that she and Legend had selected their baby's sex through in vitro fertilization. They also opened up about their struggle with infertility. The All of Me singer says he's already written new music about his baby girl. AMC theaters are ditching the idea of allowing texting during movies. AMC CEO Adam Aron said he was open to appealing to a younger crowd by allowing them to text in theaters. But once moviegoers got word of the texting possibilities, they took to social media to oppose the idea. The company later released a statement on Twitter saying there will be no texting allowed in any of its theaters. Not today, not tomorrow, and not in the foreseeable future. Disney's remake of The Jungle Book soared to the top box office, earning $103 million its opening weekend. The Jungle Book had scored second biggest opening in all times in April. The movie had a 95% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. One critic said the movie was terrifically enjoyable, piece of old-fashioned storytelling. Newcomer Neil Sethi portrays the central character, Mowgli, and Idris Elba plays the tiger, Shere Khan. Ice Cube's barbershop sequel, The Next Cut, took second place at the box office, earning $20 million. Well, that's all I have for entertainment. Now let's go back to Jarvis Heron with more news.
A new study shows that people who mainly consume fast food show higher levels of a certain chemical. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's report showed that those who ate fast food in the last 24 hours had 24 to 39% higher levels of phthalates. Phthalates could lead to infertility in women and reduced IQ and behavioral problems in children. Phthalates are also found in nail polish, medications, soaps, and perfumes. The CDC will continue to research to find what menu items specifically lead to spikes in phthalates.
The average person spends 8 to 9 hours on electronic devices daily. Nottingham Trent University found people check their smartphones 85 times a day. Valley View News reporter Erica Sims has more on the story.
Cell phones, computers, and tablets are used almost every day by the average person. But CSUN optometrist Sandra Lynn says looking at these screens are making our eyes work harder.
They tend to stare at things for a long period of time. They forget to blink, and we're focusing on close-up reading material, and so by focusing on things close up, it does cause our eyes to work a little bit harder.
But for students, they are always looking at screens. One CSUN student says she uses her phone more than anything.
A lot. I would say maybe like 8 hours a day, probably. Not just gradually, just throughout the day I do it, just not all at once.
Some students may not be aware, but the screens they are looking at have blue light.
And that's what makes them look so bright and appealing to us, but it can cause damage to our eyes.
One CSUN student says she has felt the effects of looking at the screen for too long.
My eyes definitely get red sometimes, and then they get droopy, and then if I look at the screen for too long, like it gets like a burning sensation.
But there are ways that they can keep their eyes strong. Dr. Lin suggests students follow the 20-20-20 rule. The rule is that for every 20 minutes you're staring at a screen, take a break and look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. Erica Sims for Valley View News.
Co-founder of the file-sharing service Napster, Sean Parker, is taking on a new endeavor of finding a cure for cancer. He founded the Parker Institute for Cancer Immunotherapy. The institute will collaborate with the top cancer centers in the country to share intellectual property and cancer findings. The Parker Institute will have licensed access to more than 300 researchers and more than 40 labs across America.
The Center for Disease Control says the use of e-cigarettes and hookah is becoming increasingly popular among adolescents. The CDC says e-cigarette use increased among high school students by 10% between 2011 and 2015. The use by middle school students rose 5% during that period. Overall, cigarette smoking has declined by 6%.
The purchase and consumption of medical marijuana is now legal in Pennsylvania. Up to 150 dispensaries will be able to sell marijuana. Consumers will need a doctor's certification. Governor Tom Wolf said he believes the measure will improve the quality of life for patients and their families. Pennsylvania will collect 5% in taxes.
When we come back, a wrongfully accused man is enjoying his first week of freedom.
And the legend, Kobe Bryant, makes his final NBA appearance.
2 occupants of a small plane were taken to the hospital after their aircraft crashed last weekend. The aircraft had departed from Long Beach Airport and crashed before reaching the runway on Catalina Island. The condition of the victims are unknown. The crash is being investigated by the National Transportation Safety Board.
For the first time, Jack McCullough is talking about his freedom after being convicted 4 years ago for a murder that happened in 1957. It was one of the oldest cold cases in U.S. history. McCullough was accused in Illinois of killing his former neighbor, 7-year-old Maria Rydolph. McCullough said he never gave up while in prison.
I knew I was innocent. I knew I had proof that I was innocent, and I was going to make them see the proof.
A county judge overturned McCullough's murder conviction 2 weeks ago. Rydolph's family says they are disappointed over the judge's decision.
Sport Chalet is closing all of its stores. It also closed its online sales. The sporting goods store began its going out of business sale last weekend.
Here's Delmy Moran now at the latest in sports.
Thank you, Jarvis. CSUN's baseball team started its regular season with a win streak, the longest one it has seen in 9 years. And Logan has more on this story.
Major League Baseball may have just had its opening day, but CSUN's baseball team has been in full swing since February. 1 week into the regular season, the Matadors started in on a 13-game win streak. The last time CSUN saw a run like that was in 2007, but only reached 11 straight wins. Senior infielder Brandon Berry says bringing home those W's is a collective effort.
I think our greatest asset as a team is our team. What I mean by that is when we come out and when we play, it's not always, we don't always have to rely on one person to get the job done.
The team may not solely rely on Berry, but he had a standout performance early in the season against a nationally ranked team. Berry scored 4 runs and drove in 6 RBI in a game against UCLA. Head coach Greg Moore said that Berry was the story of the game offensively, as he helped the team post its 20-12 win over the Bruins. The Matadors' 13-game win streak was brought to an end in a doubleheader against Portland, but eventually tied the 4-game series 2-2. Head coach Greg Moore says win or lose, the team is dedicated to helping one another succeed.
It's a good group of guys that show up to work every day. We've got some old guys that are injured,
they've done a nice job of getting into that dugout and teaching the young guys not only how to play, but how to prepare to play.
Matador ace Kenny Rosenberg says it's that same preparation that sets the Matadors apart from any other team.
They say perfect practice makes perfect, not just practice, so we try to be our best every day we're out here.
The team is currently 22-13 overall and 1-8 in conference play. In Northridge, I'm Anna Logan, Valley View News.
CSUN's softball team won 2 of 3 games against UC Santa Barbara last weekend. The Matadors took games 1 and 3. CSUN improved to 5-4 in conference. Blowout games were everywhere last Sunday in the opening games of the NBA playoffs. Miami beat Charlotte 123-91, San Antonio beat Memphis 106-74, and the Clippers beat Portland 115-95. The last time there were 3 victories by more than 20 points in the playoffs was 31 years ago. San Antonio Spurs forward Kawhi Leonard has been named the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year for the 2nd straight year. Leonard received 84 first-place votes from the voting panel of sports writers and broadcasters. Leonard had almost 2 steals and a block per game this season. The Spurs led the league with the fewest points allowed per game this season. Golden State Warriors forward Draymond Green and Miami Heat's Hassan Whiteside finished 2nd and 3rd in the voting. Leonard is the 2nd player to win consecutive Defensive Player of the Year. Ethiopia's Lemi Haile and Etsere Besi have won the men's and women's divisions of the Boston Marathon. Haile won in an unofficial time of 2 hours and 12 minutes. Besa came from behind to win the elite women's division in 2.5 hours. American Tatiana McFadden won the women's wheelchair division for the 4th straight year. Switzerland's Marcel Hug took home the men's wheelchair division for the 2nd straight year. Many Americans did not participate in the event in order to train for the Rio Olympics this summer. The 120th running of the historic race took place under heavy security. This year's race marks the 3-year anniversary of bombings near the finish line that left 3 people dead and 264 injured. Now let's go back to Mariah with more news.
Last week's Laker fans gathered in downtown LA for Kobe Bryant's last career game. Fans looked to soak in the final moments of the Laker superstar's career. Here's Valley View News reporter Javier Cabrera with more.
Lakers!
Woo! Some bought tickets worth thousands and many were just present for the experience. But Laker fans invaded downtown LA to celebrate Kobe Bryant's career hours before his last game.
My kids asked me about Kobe Bryant. I could say I was at his last game, and that $800 can't be spent any better way anyways.
$1,500 or $1,600 a piece, which right now is a bargain because they're skyrocketing right now, you know, closer we went to the game, but it hurt. Like for me, that's a fortune, but had to pay my respects.
Bryant spent 20 years with the Lakers, and his fans always saw him battle through injuries and pain. So some were surprised when he announced retirement last fall.
Never been without Kobe. I always thought we had a chance to make the playoffs, win a championship. We always have Kobe.
Now that Bryant is stepping down, Laker fans are hopeful for a bright future with the team's young core of players.
Randall, Clarkson, and Russell, and Larry Lance. They're going to watch. Next year, they're going to do good.
We got a good young core, and that's what I'm going to be cheering on, but it's not going to ever be the same as the greatest of all time playing for the Lakers.
Now that Kobe Bryant is retired, the Lakers management has the task to fill in the huge footsteps he's leaving behind. And some Laker fans are optimistic about the future. In downtown Los Angeles, Javier Cabrera, Valley View News.
Thank you for watching Valley View News. I'm Mariah Robinson.
And I'm Jarvis Heron. Have a great day.